What is a conditioned mind? Everything you know about yourself, everything you think you know about the world, is based on assumptions, beliefs, and opinions. These things you believe because you were taught or told they were true. Is this conditioning or is it tradition? This is not only present-day tradition, but centuries of tradition that have been handed down from generation to generation. This conditioning is the whole background of civilization, culture, and the many experiences that we have. As adults, we all have some self-defined boundaries. There are things we refuse to do, things that never even cross our minds. It may be something as simple as what we eat for breakfast, or it can be more significant decisions like what jobs we consider respectful and what kind of person we want to marry. Have you stopped to think to yourself, why have you created these invisible boundaries around yourself? The answer is more complicated than you can imagine. What is the most common trap that almost all of us have fallen into? It is conforming to the norms that the society around us has created. Even if these norms are outdated, false, misleading, or do not align with the present world, we also conform to them. This is because we grew up believing in them and seeing them adapted by everyone around us. This is the conditioned mind. This is your mind. We all have thoughts and opinions, but how many of these are based on our own understanding? Of course, we know many things, but how much of our knowledge comes from personal experience? Conditioning is how people are trained to think, believe, feel, want, and react in a way that the society or the groups approve of. Can the mind break free of this conditioning? We will explore this fascinating subject in section 4.3. Get ready to have your mind blown. What is free will? We give tremendous significance to our mind and free will. Is it warranted? Just because you can do what you want does not mean you have free will. Why? Because you are not consciously choosing what you want. You simply want it. You can't explain why you want it, but you do. And so choosing to do what you want or choosing one want over another does not mean you have free will, because your wants have been given to you, not determined by you. We do not have the freedom and free will that we think we do. Prior causes outside your control determine everything that makes up our conscious choices, your thoughts, your wants, your desires. Although free will does not exist, we can create a framework for our choices, making specific outcomes more likely than others. For example, you can remove all the candy from your house to reduce the odds of eating sweets. Whether you feel the urge to eat sweets, however, is not something you have control over. Your wants simply are. They are not things you control. This has implications for how we judge criminals and interpret actions. If we understand that it is possible to be dealt a bad hand in life, bad genetics, bad parents, bad experiences, then we begin to realize that even criminals have a deeper story that influences their actions. In a world like this, crimes, even heinous ones, are not easily attributed to free will and bad ideas. It's a more compassionate view of our fellow humans. This doesn't mean we do not need a criminal justice system. In conclusion, free will is inherently conditioned and not free to begin with. It is impossible for us to know the causes of our choices and wants. If you look deeply, what you call your mind is something you have borrowed from thousands of people around you. You have accumulated this mind in bits and pieces. Your mind is mainly the result of your conditioning, depending on the kind of family you come from, your education, religion, and the country or society you belong to. Conditioning works by rewarding behavior that is acceptable and punishing thoughts and actions that are not acceptable. It involves the repetition of the same message over time. This forces young children's brains to accept it as the truth. Take the example of child A and child B. Suppose from the day they were born, somebody kept telling child A, "Their little finger is God." Divine emotions will come within you if they show you their little finger. And instead, somebody kept telling child B, Their little finger is the devil. Terror will arise within you if they show you their little finger. Each child is seeing the same thing, but having a completely different experience. This is the nature of our conditioned minds. You see, from almost the day we were born, we have been forced not to think. For example, school, an institution that supposedly helps young children develop their intellect, yet can do quite the opposite. Let us explore this subject in the next section. Conditioning starts with education.